Good evening. I'd like to call to order and welcome you all to our November Florence School District 5 Board of Trustees meeting. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Goins, you got a word for us, please, sir?
Yes, sir. If you don't mind, please bow your heads. Father God, we just thank you tonight that we can come together as a community to do your work. And God, we just give thanks, God, during this time of the year for the blessings that you bestowed upon us. God, we thank you for all of our students and our teachers and our parents and our community. And we just pray that you'll be with us. We pray that you'll give us wisdom and knowledge and understanding as we make the best decisions for Florence School District 5. God, this week we pray that you'll be with us as we travel to Orangeburg. God, we pray that you'll be with our athletes and the athletes on the other team also to give us a great game, a fun time of fellowship and fun together. And we just ask for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Confirmation of notice to the media. In accordance with the South Carolina Code of Laws 1976, Section 30-4-80E, as amended, the following were notified of this meeting: Morning News, Post and Courier, WBTW, WMBF, WPDE-TV, and our local website. We'll now move into the approval of agenda. Any issues, concerns? Okay. Now we will move into recognition of re-elected board members and oath of office.
Okay, at this time, we would like to recognize Ms. Deanna Green and Ms. Sissy Powell as being re-elected board members. Get to do the fun thing of swearing in again. Okay. If you'd repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office
to exercise the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and that I will do to the best of my ability
and that I will do to the best of my ability
discharge the duties thereof and preserve,
discharge the duties thereof and preserve,
protect and defend the Constitution of this state
protect and defend the Constitution of this state
and of the United States, so help me God.
and of the United States, so help me God.
Congratulations. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly
that I
qualified,
am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office
to exercise the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
which I have been elected,
and that I will do to the best of my ability
and I will do to the best of my ability
discharge the duties thereof and preserve,
discharge the duties thereof and preserve,
protect and defend the Constitution of this state
protect and defend the Constitution of this state
and of the United States, so help me God.
and of the United States, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Now we'll move into special recognition for our all-state recipients.
This is the fun part. This is the part I look forward to the most. We have 2 All-State this year and so far, and we're really excited to bring them up. I'm going to start with our volleyball All-State. And Krista, if you would come up. Krista was named as the All-State volleyball team for South Carolina this school year, single A. We're so proud of her and the effort she put forth. We're really happy to recognize her. And Casey, if you would come up too with Mr. Timmons. We'd also like to recognize Miss Bonnie Travaglio. She was also named All-State as part of the South Carolina Cross Country State Team for 2023, and we're super proud of Miss Travaglio. These girls girls worked really hard, and if you had the opportunity to go see either of them, you'd have been super impressed. I know I was, and we're so proud of them. I'm glad you represent Johnsonville Flashes the way that you do. Okay, now we'll move into public forum.
Public forum, I see none. And we'll move into our consent agenda. Let's review our minutes, monthly financial statements, and food service statements for October. Any questions, comments? Okay. Now we will move into our regular agenda.
Okay. If y'all wanna stay.
Hope y'all had a great day.
Smoothly with that. The funds are now on deposit at Florence County Treasurer's Office. And the district facilities team will be getting together shortly to get a timeline set up and get everything rolling as far as all these major projects and how, to get everything, the ones that we can do simultaneously, go ahead and get everything, rolling. The biggest thing with the finance this particular month, as usual, is we have Miss Brenda Jackson with us from Kenneth Cobb and Company, and she is here to present to you the 22-23 general fund or the financial audit. Ms. Brenda.
Good evening, everyone. I know you just received your package and it's a lot of information there, but I'll keep my presentation brief, but if you have any questions or something else, question, and if a question comes out at a later date, that's something that Ms. Wanda can answer. We'll start out by I want to take the opportunity to thank the board for trusting our firm to be your auditors for another year. And I want to thank Ms. Prosser and Ms. Willis for all their assistance in performing this audit. Your books and records are in excellent shape, and makes it a pleasure to be able to do this audit. As we've talked in the past, your financial statements have 4 basic sections. You have your management's discussion and analysis, your basic financial statements, which are very summarized and concise. You have some required supplemental information by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and then some additional supplemental information, which are mainly some supplemental schedules that provide all the details. So as you start at the back, you're going to see more information in detail, and go to the front, it's going to be more concise. We'll start on page 3. This is your independent auditor's report. Once again this year you received an unmodified opinion, which is the type of opinion that you can receive. And just to highlight this is the second paragraph on page 3, and it states that in our opinion the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. The financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, aggregate remaining fund information of Florence County School District 5 as of June 30, 2023. So you did receive what we call a clean opinion. Now going on to page 13, we'll take a look at some of the numbers. This first statement is your statement of net position. The this is, based on the full accrual basis of accounting. It is all the funds of the district in one concise column here. This statement is on a long-term view because it does include all of the debt of the district and all of the fixed assets of the district. Just to point out some of the key numbers on this page, your very first couple of lines there, your cash and investments, which was just over $4 million for June 30th, 2023. At June 30th, 22, you were at 3.4 million, so you're up about 600,000 from the prior year. You have total capital assets, the fixed assets, your land, building, and so forth. Net of depreciation, that total just about 8.1 million, and this is up from 7.8 million, about 244,000 from the prior year. This, some of the things that you added this year was the field house renovations, some metal detectors, and batting cages and equipment. And also started on the renovations for the gym floor and the bleachers. That would have been included in these numbers. This gives you a total assets of 14.7 million. The next middle section there are your liabilities of the district. Your long-term debt, you'll see, or your total liabilities are 31,668,000. The bulk of this 31 million are your net OPEB liability, which is other post-employment benefits, which are for your retirees' insurance, and then net pension liability, which is retirement for retirees. Now, this is the portion that you are required to recognize of the total state liability. So this is something that you really have no control over. It's just a percentage that's based on your total contributions, based on the total contributions of the entire state, and you allocate the liabilities of the entire state to your district. Those were $12,465,000 for the OPEB and $16,394,000 for the pension. So those two together, you're looking at about $28 million. So of that, your total long-term debt was $30.6 million. But if you take out those two numbers, you only have long-term debt of $1.73 million. And the bulk of that was the bond that was issued right at the end of the fiscal year that you subsequently defeased with this new bond. When you take your assets, deferred inflows and outflows, and net it against your liabilities, this gives you your net position. Now you'll see it is at a negative, but now this is very common ever since we started having to record these huge liabilities for OPEB and pension. So it's showing a negative of $16,752,000. If you didn't have to record the pensions and the OPEB, you would actually be at a positive of about 12 million. So that just gives you an idea of how much those numbers affect your financial statements. Now let's flip over to page 15. This is the balance sheet on the modified accrual basis of accounting. This is more of a short-term view, and it's laid out a little differently because you see it's in columnar format. It's broken down by your general fund, your grants, your building fund, and so forth. This statement does not include that long-term debt, doesn't include your fixed asset. So this is more of a truer picture of what can be used to fund your day-to-day operations. So what I want to look at on this is your fund balance. This is basically, a lot of your numbers are going to be the same on these things. Your statements, your cash, your investments, all that will be the same. But your fund balance is going to be different because we're not recording those long-term liabilities or those fixed assets. Your fund balance for the general fund, in that first column, the second number up from the bottom, you'll see your fund balance was at $3,193,936. That number is up from the prior year by about $396,000. You have other, in your second column, you have various restricted fund balances. You'll see your food service there at $391,000. What was set aside for capital projects, or what was early childhood, at $360,000, because the board did approve to use some of that money. So you did see a decrease in that fund balance from the prior year. And then in the third column, you'll see capital projects, or your building fund, was at $1,173,000. Now that numbers is high because of the bond proceeds that you had sitting with the county treasurer at June 30th. Once again, that was the bond that you did at June 23 that was defeased in 23-24. And then in the fourth column, you had debt service of $85,626. Those are the funds that have been collected by the county treasurer that has to be used to repay debt. In prior years, we've talked about your average daily expenditures and how many days working capital you have in your fund balance. In other words, if you didn't collect anything else, how long could you operate? For 2022, your average expenditures were about $27,000 and you had 104 working days. For 23, you had average daily expenditures of $29,671 with 108 days working capital. So pretty level, increased about four days, but I've been kind of building my numbers from prior years. In 2020, you had 62 days in your working capital. So that just shows what is significantly how you have built that fund balance. Now let's take a look at page 17. This is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for your income statement. We'll take a look at the general fund there to start with. You'll see you had total revenues of $11.2 million. The bulk of this was your state money, which was accounted for $8,632,000. That's up about $717,000 from the prior year. Your expenditures were $12,065,000. That was up about $1.6 million from the prior year. And on the next page, you have some transfers in and out, with the biggest number being transferred from EIA funds of $1,097,000. Net all these together, you operated at an excess, or where you added to your fund balance of $396,000. Now keep in mind, you added to your fund balance even after you approved to do the batting cages and the field house, which was to the tune of $280,000. That wasn't in your budget. And also there were some other, if you look in your general fund statement, you'll see there's some, I think it was in operation and maintenance, you'll see like some of those line items are over budget where you had approved to do some deferred maintenance projects. And some other things related to the athletic fields and so forth. So even with approving to do those projects, you still added to your fund balance by $396,000. Any questions on any of that? I'll just point out that you do have two letters in this report. They're on compliance and internal control. One's in accordance with the uniform guidance, and one is in accordance with government auditing standards. You had no material weaknesses, which is the, and if you want to flip there, they're on page 54 through 58. You have 3 levels of findings you can have The worst is a material weakness. You had none of those. The second level is significant deficiency. We have one of those, which is inadequate segregation of duties. You've heard me talk about that every year. And I talk about that every audit presentation I do. It's just a fact of life pretty much with our rural area. And then the other would just be a control deficiency, which are just things that we find that are more, we need to make you aware of. And that would be things that are in a management letter, which is a separate letter that you had. And the only issue in that was there were some issues with the State Department of Education has a mandated account numbers and definitions of how those account numbers are to be used. We had some issues with that, but it does seem to be trending in the right direction. We were better this year. We just have this one account number that's a thorn in the side. So, we all sat down and went over the list, this year, and hopefully this will be taken care of for the future. Any questions on anything? Once again, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right. We'll get started with food service here. We are in the process of changing over our Meals Plus software over to Titan. The software that we're currently using now for cafeteria management is just old. It's not being supported anymore. So we are moving over to that software. Had the first meeting about that today. We see that process starting hopefully in January. The K-12 payment center that everybody uses to pay fees is a part of that process, so that will also be migrating. That's going to be kind of a two-step there with the K-12 payment center, because all of our tuition payments, school fees, registration fees are done in K-12 payment center. We're going to continue with that through the end of this school year, but we're going to go ahead and start the lunch payments over on the new system in January. Not many people add money to lunch accounts anymore because we're CEP. But at the end of this year, we'll move everything over. There was no easy way for them to transition those fees over, so we decided today that instead of making bookkeepers re-enter all kind of stuff into two different systems, we would run two systems for the rest of this year. Adam Miller, food service director, did place an order week before last for new tables for the cafeteria and JMS. That is a rendering of what it should look like there. The tables that we had there are in pretty bad shape. Some of the seats are falling off. It is his long-term goal to do that in every cafeteria. So we're going to start with this one, see how it goes. In technology, ordered 60 new laptops for the K program at the high school. Those are currently being set up. We've also ordered new digital signage for the JHS cafeteria to do away with some of the, the signs, if y'all been in there, the little signs that they write on the menu for the day. They're doing digital signs, which are basically nothing more than the TVs like we have in here, but they can display the menus. They can also display, if Mr. Fleming wants to display an announcement for the schools on there, it can all be programmed and scheduled. So hoping to do that in all cafeterias, but again, Mr. Miller started that initiative at the high school for the cafeteria. And our new firewall that we had to get has been successfully installed. That's been running smooth now for about a month. All right, here's the fun part, safety and security update. We've been awarded a little over $1 million in grants. With the COPS School Violence Prevention Program grant, we got a little over $322,000. We were one of 4 districts in the state to receive that grant. Department of Education did a grant at the beginning of this year. I applied for $697,063, and we got all of it. So, the COPS grant will be used to purchase additional cameras, access control, repair some of the exterior doors. A lot of our doors need new closers. They need just new door hardware, new hinges. That's going to be done everywhere. The grant we got from the State Department of Education will be used to replace locks on every classroom in the district. They're pretty cool. The guys are coming tomorrow to set a couple of them up for me to test, but basically every classroom in the district will have access control, so teachers will swipe into the door to unlock it. We can control lockdowns a lot better than that. Doesn't require keys. Just a lot of cool things, and quite frankly, our old. Some of the locks are getting where they don't work very well without wiggling the key and standing on one foot and, you know, saying a prayer. So I'm very excited to get those installed. And bond referendum projects, kind of like we've already talked about. But one thing we are issuing tomorrow, I'm going to issue an RFQ for an energy, water, and wastewater savings contract service. Basically what they do is they come in and analyze the district, see where we can save money on our existing utilities and stuff now. They also will assist us in sourcing additional funding opportunities for some of these projects that we're doing with the bond referendum, like the stadium lighting. You know, there's grant opportunities that we can take in that to stretch that $7.5 million. And the companies guarantee savings. So it's basically a win-win for us. So that RFQ will go out tomorrow. I hope to bring you guys in January our selection for you guys to approve for that. So, any questions? I know it's quick tonight, but
I'm good. The electronic locks. These gonna be hardwired?
they're not.
Operated.
They're not hardwired. They're battery operated. However, the batteries in those tend to last at least a year, a year to two, depending on the usage. But that'll all be. That's the only headache of it, I guess, is changing batteries.
Yeah.
But I think the benefit will definitely outweigh that headache of batteries.
And these locks are going on the classroom doors and outer doors?
Classroom doors and like basically any door, you know, the main office door, anywhere that we don't have controlled access now, we'll install those locks.
Will there be like a key bypass?
There is a key bypass. So yeah, the administrators, custodians, possibly will actually have a key. But what we want to control a little more is who has access to what.
Right.
And the great thing about that system is it has a component as well where if we have contractors in the building, I can issue them a key that goes to their phone and their Apple Wallet. I can get them in any door they need to get into, and then when they leave, that key dies. So it'll also tie into our Active Directory, which is the way people log in, their user accounts. So when we get a new staff member, their access is automatically created in the access control system. But better than that, somebody leaves and I don't get their badge, it's going to automatically disable their account. So,
But in the case of like a lockdown, you can just lock the doors.
yes, the doors,
All the doors.
they're locked, and it will deactivate all the teacher badges at that time. So that if, in the case that somebody found a badge and they were trying to make their way through the building, once we initiate the lockdown, that badge wouldn't work. So,
That's good.
any more questions? All right.
Great job on those grants.
Yeah, great job.
Absolutely.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and again, kudos to operations on those grants. That's going to be a big thing for our district. Just taking a look at a few things in academics. As we talked last board meeting, we are continuously looking to improve. And we did some of our first learning walks the week before Thanksgiving. And the great thing that we saw at both schools, we were able to do Johnsonville Elementary and Johnsonville Middle, were things that we saw last year that we wanted to work on. We're already seeing improvements there. The improvements in the rigor of the classrooms, the academic feedback that teachers are giving to students has just increased tremendously. I told Ms. Squires after one, I said, you know, after some learning walks last year, I couldn't say that every classroom we went in that we saw what we wanted to see. but in the classrooms we went in the other day, they were on point. The teachers were working hard, the students were working hard, so very proud of the continuous improvement that our schools are making. And I truly believe that we're going to continue to see that improvement, and I really think with this laser focus on those report card items, we're going to continue to see growth next year also. So kudos also to our schools, to our leadership, to the teachers, to the students for the hard work that they're doing. And we're not going to, as we say, you hear me say it a lot, we're not going to take our foot off the gas. We're keeping our foot on the pedal because we know that we can grow even higher here in Florence 5. Just a few things coming up to make you aware of. It is testing season. From here until the end of the semester, a lot of testing going on. At the high school this week, we are starting EOC testing for English 2. There's 2 days of English 2 testing. There's a multiple choice day, and then there's a writing response day. So that's why you see the 2 days of testing there. And then Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History the next week. And then semester exams at JHS will be December 14th and 15th. At JES, they will be doing their winter formative assessment, which is required by the state on December 4th and 5th. And then JMS will be doing their iReady on December 5th and 6th. One thing we are doing this year that's a little different than last year when we went to an iReady Summit last year, they highly recommended that we do our formative testing like we do our state testing for 2 reasons. One, it prepares the students for the time length that they're going to take on those state tests so that the first time they get to a state test in May, that's not the first time they've had a 2 or 3 hour test. So we're getting them prepared there. What that also does is in the past, we've had to stretch out iReady testing for over a week sometimes to get them all done. This is going to allow us to get them all done within those 2 days, hopefully, and hopefully give us more accurate data than having to stretch them out over multiple days. So we're excited to see how that works and go from there. At Florence School District 5, the state has required us to submit what we want our CTE programs to look like next year. And so we submitted before Thanksgiving. We met with our CTE teachers, Mr. Fleming, myself, and we created a plan for Florence 5. And we've come up with 3 different clusters for our school in Johnsonville High School. The first cluster is the Business Management and Administration cluster, and there are 2 actual paths that our students can take. Business Information Management, in which they would take entrepreneurship, image editing, digital publication, and then if they took those 3 courses and got a state-recognized certification, those students would be considered a completer. We're also adding a new path, which is called Administrative Services, that has some different classes. Entrepreneurship is common amongst both, and the reason we're doing that is because entrepreneurship also counts as our personal finance credit that the state is requiring for graduation. So we're able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone there. But then also we're adding a new course, Administrative Support Technology, and continuing our digital workplace application. What this pathway does for us also is every year we get dinged on our Perkins report because we don't have enough non-traditional pathways. And so for our males, we don't have a lot of non-traditional male pathways. So therefore, Administrative Services is what's considered a non-traditional pathway for our male students. So the more male students that we get into that pathway, the better that helps us. We're continuing with our architecture and construction. That's through our carpentry courses, and our students take carpentry 1, 2, 3, and 4. If they complete those 4 courses and they have a certification, they also are considered a completer. Now the last one is what we're excited about. I'm excited to tell you tonight. We are going next year to begin a health science cluster. We are in collaboration with Florence School District 5 with a grant, and we're going to get somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 for that, and it's going to purchase
District
2. Which one did I say? 5. Well, we're really in collaboration with Florence 5, but Florence 2 also. Yes, but we are going to be purchasing startup equipment, hospital beds, body models, simulated mannequins. It's going to actually look like a little hospital. We're still looking at where we're going to house that program. We've got a couple ideas, but we'll be doing that starting next semester. We'll begin those purchases. And I actually went to the Florence School District 2 to their CTE advisory council meeting the week before Thanksgiving, and met with their teacher, Ms. Casey Cooper. She's going to help us as we plan and set up, but also got to meet with some of the connections that she has at McLeod's and other hospitals to hopefully have some people donate some different things for us also. So really excited about that. Another key about health science, that is another non-traditional male pathway. So what we've looked at is we've looked at our data, we've looked at areas that we need to improve in, and now we're going to have 2 pathways that are going to help us in our Perkins reports that we have. So really excited about that. We'll be adding a health science teacher. That will be a new teacher that we will have to hire, but also purchasing that equipment. So that's going to be some great things for our students in Florence 5, that they're going to have, at least not counting the continuum and other things like that. They're now going to basically have 4 different pathways they can go to leave Florence School District 5 with certifications and with credentials so that they can go to the workforce or to college. That's also a thing that I forgot to mention about health science. To be a completer, they have to take 1, 2, and 3. But we're eventually going to get to the point, once we build up our program, to have a health science 4 class, is where they'll leave as a certified nursing assistant going through clinicals there. And so that's down the road. We've got to build up our program, but hopefully within the next 2, if not 3 years, we'll start producing some certified nursing assistants here in Florence 5. So very excited about that. Any questions you may have for academics? Thank
Y'all
you.
done an outstanding job with these grant opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just, Wanda, woohoo, she's gonna have fun. Okay. As you know, we are going through accreditation. We have started the process. We've just about submitted everything we needed to submit in the workspace except for our evidence. We've done all the narratives, and we've been working on evidence all day, and we'll probably be working on that all week. The purpose of the accreditation is it's like our quality assurance. The state requires it. Any public institution that's state funded has to be accredited. And Cognia is the one that our state pretty much goes with. So they require us to focus in 4 different areas: the culture of our schools, leadership in our schools, student engagement, and our growth. And this year the visit will be virtual on December the 12th, so it's coming up quickly. What they'll do is prior to the 12th, they'll review everything we've already submitted in the workspace digitally. And then on the 12th, they're going to interview students, parents, leadership, and board members. So I'm going to need some of you on December 12th, probably that afternoon, if possible, to do a virtual interview. And if you can't come here to do it, you can join in virtually from wherever you are, if you can make that happen. She wanted at least 4. I'd love it if we had all of you, but I know that's impossible during the workday. But I will give you that exact time. She did tell me the board members would be last, because after everything's done, then she presents to the board. So that's what we know right now. Then later, a summary report be sent, and they'll tell us our areas that we need to grow and the areas of strength. And then the good stuff, our cross-country team, these were the people who placed for region. You'll see 3 flashes up there. Bonnie was one of them, and Ben, and then we've got what's his name? Jamari. He doesn't actually attend here, does he? I think he's homeschooled, but
I think he goes to the place.
Yeah.
He's either
Day
homeschooled
school or homeschool, but he participates with our kids, and he's really a great kid. But they were region placers, and then our girls actually ran at the state competition in the rain, in the mud, in the cold, and did an outstanding job. Bonnie placed there at the state competition and made All-State. So we're very proud of our cross-country team. You know, for us to have just started that program, it has skyrocketed, and they're doing a great job.
Miss Alana, if I could add to that for a second.
Please do.
Jamari at regionals finished the race with a broke leg.
Hmm?
He fell during the race, and I think he had about a mile left that he ran, and when he crossed the finish line, he fell to the ground, said his leg was hurting him. And that week he found out he had broken his leg when he fell. ran that last mile and broke leg.
Wow.
And I know there's been a lot of discussion about the football team, the state championship. You were there. 15 girls that were all state. There was Bonnie, 2 girls from Dixie, and a girl from Green Sea, Florida. 4 out of 15 were public schools. The rest of them were private schools. So it's not just football or baseball.
Right.
It's killing us in all sports. But we're still hanging with them.
But we showed up there.
Yeah.
We were on that stage, so I couldn't have been more proud of, they worked hard. You can see them running every day. They run by the district office. You see them running every day. So they work hard. The team itself is very well liked by the other teams in the state. So it's so neat to see, they know each other's names. You can tell they respect our group of kids because it's really a great group of kids. We've also had our Miss Golden Black pageant, and we have a junior miss, which was Ava Cooper, and a Miss Golden Black, which was Miss Cameron Lyerly. We did Veterans Day celebrations at every school. At the middle school, they did something different this year and did a drive-by. The elementary did their program in the gym, and the high school honored their veterans through videos and recognitions, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful day. We had a lot of veterans turn out at all schools. You know, football won the lower state champions, and we will play Friday at 2. Thank you so much for approving for us to move a teacher work day. The State Department did approve that as well. They would not approve an e-learning day because it's not considered an emergency situation, but they allowed us to move that teacher work day from February the 15th to December the 1st. If you have a parent come to you who's concerned because they already had plans on February the 15th, our principals will work with them. We're not going to choose those battles because it's not their fault that we rescheduled. So tell them not to fret, just to contact the principal. They'll work with them. Fall Fun Fest, we had a great time. Middle school kind of prevailed. Their little dance team won, and they won the pumpkin roll. I think Mr. Jody Cook had a really good time falling flat on his face in front of the entire district, but we also use this as an opportunity to be thankful for what we have and to give to others. And we did our caring and sharing canned food drive district-wide, and you could see the kids in front of the food that we donated to caring and sharing that afternoon. Okay, upcoming events. We've got Literacy Night coming up tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow night. Neon, let's glow read a book. Everybody's dressing in neon. If you have volunteered to read for that and you have a neon shirt, wear it tomorrow night. We have Santa Pictures on the 29th and a JMS basketball game at home. On the 30th, we've got a JMS Academic Challenge meet.
It's been rescheduled, or it's been postponed.
The JMS one has?
Yes. On Thursday, so that everybody can go to the pet rally.
I got you.
That came out today.
Okay. I know the high school one had been changed. I didn't know the middle school one had been changed. Okay. Teacher work day will be the December the 1st, and then we'll have a varsity home basketball game versus Kingstree on the 5th, junior ring ceremony on the 7th. The 11th, our varsity basketball game again at home, and our cognitive virtual visit on the 12th. Then our Christmas programs will begin from now until Christmas break on 12/18. So we've got a busy 3 weeks coming up. Okay, any questions? That concludes Superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move into our 4-action agenda. Our first 4-action is acceptance of the 2022-2023 fiscal audit.
I make a motion that we accept the 2022-2023 fiscal audit.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next is the second reading of policy JICFB, Gavin's Law, Sexual Extortion for Students.
I make a motion that we accept the second reading of policy JICFD, Gavin's Law, Sexual Extortion for Students.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll move into the second reading of policy GBE, Gavin's Law, Sexual Extortion Staff.
Make a motion that we approve the second reading of policy GBEBE, Gavin's Law, sexual extortion for staff.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, we will look at overnight field trips.
I'll make a motion to approve the overnight field trips.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Alana, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, at this time, I have to declare all the positions vacant. So I'm gonna open the floor for nominations. We'll start with the nomination for board chair. And I wanna thank Mr. Timmons for all that he's done as he's served the past couple of years. I know he's been away. We'll take nominations for chair at this time.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Irvin.
Do I hear any seconds?
I
I'll
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, at this time,
Deanna Green.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we will call for a nomination for secretary.
Make a motion that we nominate Mr. Frank Travaglio.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Welcome to your new positions, and, we're done.
Make a motion.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
All in. You the man now,
All in favor?
Aye.